So, speaking of a quiet thing, that really is one of my favorite Cantor and Ebb songs. This has been a really amazing weekend for me. What Jay just sang about is so true. Moments happen in your life, and all of a sudden, you're right in the middle of one, and it's just so extraordinary and so breathtaking. It so takes your breath away, you just don't know what to do with it. And I'm going to get all verklempt. I was in the middle of one yesterday. That was so amazing, so beautiful, so remarkably pure and divinely perfect. And so I'm going to start by asking us all to wish John and Oscar congratulations on their wedding yesterday. It was so beautiful, and I didn't ask John if I could share this moment, so I'll ask you now, can I? Yeah, you don't know which moment it is, but I think you have an idea. So I do weddings a lot, and I love doing weddings, and you know, whether I am personal friends with the couple or not, it's always difficult for me to get through the wedding without crying, because I recognize what's going on, and everyone is so present and so filled with love. And yesterday, of course, my two dearest friends are getting married, and they're right in front of me, and I almost couldn't even begin the wedding. It was just... Anyway, I pulled it together. They didn't. I pulled it together. But there was one moment, there's this thing that I do where I ask the couples, and most couples say yes, and we pass the ring around so that every person at the wedding gets to touch their rings before they give them to one another. And when those rings go around, John and Oscar brilliantly asked Gary Litton Floyd to sing a song called Love of My Life, just to add some emotion to the emotion. And so the rings started to be passed around, and John and Oscar are watching the rings, and I'm watching the rings, and Gary's singing Love of My Life, and everyone, the energy in that room, in that garden, was so full, so palpable, so visceral, that I've never experienced this ever in any wedding. John Livesey, the most composed man, the most successful man I know, he's just so intelligent and so perfect in every way, had another perfect moment where he literally lost it. But not in a small way. John doesn't do anything in a small way. John lost it in such a gut-wrenching emotional release. It was almost like animalistic. It was just, he finally gave up, I think, right? And he just went, "Ugh!" and Oscar went over and held him, and then I was just lost. I thought, I don't know what comes next. I don't even remember what comes next. And it was just not such a quiet thing. Actually, now that I think about it, it was kind of a big, loud thing. And it was just, and on the inside of their rings it says, Love of My Life. Yes. So it was just a spectacular day. And I knew it was going to be wonderful. I didn't know it was going to be what it ended up being, which is one of the moments in my life I will never, ever forget. And here's the thing about that. The title of my talk today is called To Be or Not to Be. And it is based on Hamlet's soliloquy, which is quiet. But it's also based on the fact that what Shakespeare really meant by that soliloquy and the choice we make to be or not to be in love. They clearly made the choice to be in love, and then to follow that up with action, and then to follow that action up with emotion, and now to follow that emotion up with the life that I know that's coming forward from this. So I want to start with to be or not to be. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To die, to sleep, no more. And by asleep, we say to end the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. Now, I'm not particularly someone who goes to Shakespeare that often. I feel that most of the time the actors don't know what they're saying, therefore neither do I. And so it's hard for me to watch Shakespeare unless it's a brilliant company that knows what they're saying and can communicate it to me. And so I'm going to just talk about this little phrase here from my own point of view. And let's start with Shakespeare's point, whether 'tis nobler in the mind. You know that Shakespeare was a metaphysician, yes? Shakespeare was a brilliant metaphysician. Shakespeare understood that everything takes place in the mind, period. Hamlet is basically doing his entire soliloquy about what is going on in his mind, not really about what's going on out there. Hamlet, through Shakespeare, knows that all that's going on around me is going on in my mind, through my mind, because of my mind. And the only place to correct it is in my mind. And what's great is he understands that it's unlimited, because what he says is to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Outrageous fortune, by the way, isn't about the facts of his life. Outrageous fortune, I think Shakespeare is saying, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, are we willing to step into our mind and understand that the fortune in our mind is outrageously unlimited? Do we have the capacity to step into our mind in such a way that we are willing to deal with the outrageous, unlimited possibility and pure potentiality? I think that's what he's saying. He's saying that life will present you many, many, many things. Slings, arrows, success, failure, love, anger, failure, whatever. Mind will give us all of this. Are we willing to step into the slings and arrows of the unlimited possibility, knowing that it's all perfect? And then he says, or to fight what he calls a sea of troubles, and in so doing, to end them. Now, if Shakespeare meant what I think he meant, then he's saying that if we fight against this stuff, then what we're really doing is ending the possibility of them. All of it. If we fight against the outrageous fortune that is before us, we could very well end it before we ever really understand how incredible it is in the first place. So right there, he's saying, to me, don't fight it. And then he says, to die, to sleep, no more. And I love that you ever hear an actor, he goes, to die, to sleep no more. That's not what he wrote. He didn't write to sleep no more, did he, Bonnie? No, he didn't. He said, to die, to sleep, and the way, if we die and we sleep, then it's no more. There's no more of this anymore. Right, Bonnie? Yes. Right. And how many actors say, to die, to sleep no more? Anyway, that's why I don't go to Shakespeare. If I went to Shakespeare and Hamlet put those two together, I'd get up and leave, because then clearly the director didn't know what he was doing, and don't get me started. So, to die, to sleep, no more. And by asleep, we say to end the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. Flesh is heir to. Flesh is Shakespeare saying to us, there's a mortal side to you, and if you pay attention to it, and if that's really your only experience, you might as well just kill it off. Because if you only think of yourself as human flesh, man, you are in trouble. That's what I think he's saying. And yet, and here's the thing, because Prospero in The Tempest says, we are such stuff as dreams are made of. Not we are such stuff as we make in the world. No, we are such stuff as dreams are made of. Shakespeare also said something, and I'm going to paraphrase this, something, things are not either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. I mean, this is a brilliant metaphysician. Brilliant. Only your thinking makes something good or bad. Your thinking, your mind. For me, the bigger thing to take out of to be or not to be is this. Shakespeare is showing us that in all things we have a choice. That's what to be or not to be. That's what that whole soliloquy says to me. Shakespeare is saying to Hamlet, you have a choice. You are a choice. And whatever choice you make will lead your life in whatever direction it will go. And it has nothing to do with everything that's going on around you. It doesn't matter that your father was killed by your uncle. Get over it. It doesn't matter that your mother married your uncle. They need to do what they need to do. Get on with your life. Of course, that would be a short play, but... So we are a choice, are we not? Every single one of you in this room are a choice, and to whatever degree you think something is stopping you from having a choice, you are absolutely incorrect, and you are living in the world of the flesh, and you don't really get who you are. We are a choice to be in love or to not be in love. We are in choice to be successful or to not be successful. We are a choice to be creative or to not be creative, to be in health or to not be in health. I don't know how many times I have decided to be in health and watched my health get better. And I also don't know how many times I have decided to be in sickness and watched myself get sick and stay sick until I decide to be in health. So to be or not to be goes to every single aspect of your life. You are either saying, I choose love, or I choose to be not in love. I choose success, or I choose not to be successful. Or I choose prosperity, or I choose not to be prosperous. Or I choose whatever I choose, or I choose to let everything out here decide it for me. And that's the worst part, isn't it? When we just let everything out here decide for us where we're going with our lives. It's all a choice. Hamlet saw three choices. To live in the world as it is, to live in the world and force it into submission. How many of you have lived that life? Forcing all of your friends and family to do things your way. To live in the world. I was just thinking how often I've done that myself, actually. To die and end all of his suffering. There were his three choices. I'm going to live in the world as it is. I'm going to live in the world and force it to do what I want it to do. Or I'm just going to die and end it all. And he knew he was a choice. But here's the thing. You and I have a fourth choice, don't we? To transcend the flesh and take over the divine. See, our fourth choice is the choice that literally trumps every other choice. I don't even have to think, can I live with this? Can I live in this world like this? And I don't have to think, what can I do to just get everybody to do things my way? And I don't even have to do, I'm just going to kill myself and be done with it. That's never a choice for me. And that's not even the physical side of it, but kill off just walk away from things because they're not the way I want them to be. No, because I have a fourth choice. And that's, I transcend all of this because I know who I am. Thank you, Karen Mitchell, for that song. And it all happens up here. It only happens up here. And it happens based on what you are willing to accept. So this month, love only. This is a choice. It is a choice to love only. It is a definite choice to love only. In every moment, I am actively choosing to love only. I want you to think about this week. Was there any moment this week where you could have chosen to love as opposed to what the other thing is you did? I can think of one. Just one. But, just the one. It's a choice. In the face of anything, you can choose love, or you can choose one of Hamlet's other three things. So this month is our month to really focus on love only. Emmett Fox wrote, if you could only love enough, you would be the most powerful person in the world. If you could only love enough, you would be the most powerful person in the world. And Marc Chagall, one of my favorite painters, he said, only love interests me. And I am only in contact with things that revolve around love. How many of us can say to ourselves, only love interests me? And mean it. And prove it by our actions. Only love interests me. And I am only in contact with things that revolve around love. And that doesn't mean we go, you are not loving, you are not in my life, bye-bye. No, it doesn't. It means that when you love only and stay there, what doesn't fit into that equation falls away. And then you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with understanding that if you choose to love only, then the only things that will surround you are those that foster that idea of love. What a brilliant choice. What a brilliant choice, Marc Chagall. I'm only interested in love. I'm only in contact with things that revolve around love. If I could spend my entire life in the energy that was in that garden yesterday and only surround myself with moments like that, and that doesn't mean challenges won't come along. It means that I will know that energy of love and bring it wherever I go, in the midst of whatever challenge is happening. We're trying to decide whether or not to sanction Syria. Where's the love? Hate is never going to solve hate. Only love can conquer hate. And I'm not standing up here telling you what I think should be done, because I also understand that I can't be far enough back to understand how life unfolds perfectly. But I can tell you this, my focus had better be on the love there. My focus had better be on the expansion of peace there, not on getting back at someone for what they did. Which doesn't mean I can't make the same decision and still love only. It's a challenging time for us politically in the world that way, and I get that. But it doesn't mean we take one of Hamlet's 3 choices. It doesn't mean we turn a blind eye and die. It doesn't mean that. It means we have to stay in love, even when that happens. I said this week to someone, I cannot like someone and still love them. And there are people that I don't like that I still love. What does that mean? It means that my willingness to not like them, to understand that I don't like them, the way they act, the way they behave, they don't fit into my world. They don't fit into love only. That's okay. It doesn't mean I don't love them. And leave a room open and a place open and a space open for them to fit in my world at some point, if they so choose. Not an easy thing to do, this love only. And I hope you'll be with me this month when we do this, when we really focus on this. When you ask yourself every day, did I just love here or did I go somewhere else? What I just said, was that loving only, or was that my reaction because I was hurt or offended? It's work, but it's great work. Khalil Gibran said, yesterday we obeyed kings and bent our necks before emperors. But today we kneel only to truth, follow only beauty, and obey only love. So, obey only love. What has power over you? What has power over you? Whatever that is, I'm here to tell you, love has power over it. Whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is that you think has power over you. It can be past memories, it can be relationships, it can be financial problems, it can be whatever it is that you think has power over you. Believe me, from a place that is absolute in its knowing, love has power over that thing. Only love has the power to transcend everything. So, there's your challenge for this month, and I hope for this month and the rest of your life. To love or not to love? That is the question. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.